What I wish I would have known before I had cancer was that it's not the end of the world, and it's definitely not the worst thing that's going to happen to you in your life. My mom was diagnosed a year before I was. We had no family history. I never knew anyone who had breast cancer. And when she was diagnosed, I was devastated. I became depressed. I thought this was the worst thing that was ever going to happen to me in my life, was watching my mom go through this. She recovered. She's doing great now. And then a few months after her last treatment, I discovered my lump. She was 60, I was 32. So I thought that was the worst thing that was ever going to happen, that at 32, with two young daughters, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So put on my pink boxing gloves, and I had the bilateral mastectomy, 6 months of chemo, 5 weeks of daily radiation, had my ovaries removed, and I came up triumphant without any cancer left. And I thought, wow, that was the hardest thing I'll probably ever have to do in my life, was fight for my life through the cancer. Then a few years later, my husband left. And I thought that was the hardest thing I was ever going to have to do in my life. I thought, wow, first, my mom had cancer and I had cancer. Now after all that, my husband leaves. Thought that was definitely the hardest thing I was going to have to do. Lo and behold, a few months later, found out that I have a reoccurrence in my lungs. So I now have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And by this point, I thought, you know what? This isn't the hardest thing I'm going to have to deal with. And I need to stop thinking of it that way, because life keeps going. And here I am, still trekking on, still living every day to the fullest, still spending time with my children and with my family. And cancer is just another part of life, unfortunately, but it's not the end of the world, and it's not the worst thing that's going to happen to us. In the long run, I think I'm pretty lucky. I'm responding well to treatment, knock on wood. And probably one of the best things that have happened in this whole thing was that I found YSC, the Young Survivors Coalition, because being in my 30s and having a stage 4 diagnosis, I did feel alone, and I realized that I'm not alone, and that there's a lot of women out there, and we support each other, and we understand things that other people just don't get. So just know, this is just life. Like, it's gonna get hard, and then it's gonna get easy, and that's just life. And by having all of these obstacles, we're living it. Okay, so good luck.